Hello everyone, my name is Mark Mello and I'm a park ranger with Blackstone River Valley National Historical Park, and I'd like to welcome you to our first ranger chat. This is going to be a series that is going to continue every Tuesday at 9 a.m., so be on the lookout on our Facebook page and our YouTube page for these videos every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. And we look forward to many of these. But without any further ado, let's jump right into today's topic. Today, I want to talk about something that most of us these days have a lot of, and that is time. For many of us, if not for all of us, I think the way we look at time has dramatically changed since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. But, rest assured, this is not the only time that people have had to adapt to a new meaning of time. In many ways, the Industrial Revolution is probably one of the best and most dramatic examples of a paradigm shift when it comes to the idea of time. Now, no need to fear, we're not going to discuss Mr. Einstein's theory of relativity and how that shapes the way that physicists look at the world, because quite frankly, I don't understand that myself, so we will leave that topic for a scientist to cover. We are going to focus in on the idea that those who lived during this dramatic time of change we call the Industrial Revolution saw a revolution, if you will, not only in technology, transportation, economics, production capabilities, the stuff we would normally think of, but also experienced a dramatic change in the way they looked at time. So let's imagine ourselves in a time when the United States was a predominantly agricultural nation. You are a farmer, you own your own land, and you grow your own crops. And you live off of those crops, and you also sell them. Your workday, in this example, is markedly different than most people today. Your work schedule is set by you, and the amount of work you need to successfully complete that day to make sure your plants and livestock are properly cared for. And this schedule you set for yourself is heavily reliant upon the seasons. In winter, there's less sunlight and colder temperatures, so you're working shorter days. In the summer, the sun is your guide. You're up at its rising and working until it sets. The weather also factors into this. If there are unsafe conditions outside, your work is limited that day. And how are you making a living? By selling the fruits and vegetables, if you will, of your labor, the food you produce. And this way of life even carries over into the developing towns, villages, and cities at this time. Merchants and craftspeople operated under similar premises. Take, for example, a blacksmith. He can decide how much he wants to work in a given day, and these hours affect how much he produces and how much product he makes. And he produces these metal objects and sells them. And he makes his living off of the objects that he's making. He sells the wares of his trade. Life in a developing mill community was dramatically different. It was a regimented life, and it was a life that was set to the factory bell. An Irish immigrant summed up what that bell came to symbolize for him, and the dramatic change it emphasized in his life, stating,
"I shall not stay here. Up before day at the clang of the bell, and out of the mill by the clang of the bell, and into the mill at the clang of the bell, and at work in obedience to the ding-dong of a bell, just as though we were so many living machines."
That ding-dong of a bell made us just as though we were machines. Powerful words from a disillusioned mill worker. And it shows us how people no longer controlled their own time, but now lived their lives by the dictates of the mill management, almost as if they had ceded their individual freedom. No longer did the people sell their wares, they sold their time. This was not an easy adjustment for many. It was a totally foreign way of life, but it shaped in many ways the way that we still view time today. Most Americans still work by the hour. And although you might produce things, you're not selling those products of your labor. You are selling your time to the company. This commonplace idea today was totally revolutionary at the time, and those who lived through the dramatic changes were forced to adapt. Today is no different. With the pandemic, many people's lives and the way they look at their time has changed. With millions teleworking, myself included, we've had to adapt the way we use our time every day. And perhaps our time is one of the most valuable assets we possess. As the author J.R.R. Tolkien once stated, quote, "All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us." End quote. I'd like to thank you all for joining us on this first Ranger Chat. I hope that you found this interesting and educational. And let us know in the comments down below whether or not this is something that you enjoyed. If you'd like to see more of these, give us a thumbs up if it is something that you liked. And let us know in the comments if there's any particular topics that you'd like to learn about as well in the upcoming weeks. So thank you again for joining us. Stay safe and stay healthy, everybody, and we look forward to seeing you along the Blackstone really soon.